Are you ready for the shortest Hebrew lesson in the world? Gaon means genius.
His real name was Elijah ben Solomon Zalman. Because of him, many Jews continue to discover Vilnius today. It is here that Elijah first became famous, when he was barely 6.5 years old. The day his father took him to the great synagogue, Elijah got the chance to speak out about a religious question. He spoke so seriously and persuasively that the rabbi pronounced Eloi, meaning prodigy or young genius in Hebrew. Elijah would later become renowned as an expert in Judaic religious texts and the Talmud.
But before that happened, he first had to move from his native town of Sialets in present-day Belarus to the Lithuanian town of Kėdainiai, where he studied and then married at the age of 13.
He travelled abroad for 5 years and then moved to Vilnius and devoted himself to the study of religious texts. The Gaon was drawn to other subjects as well: languages, logic, ethics, geometry, astronomy, medicine and botany, but they interested him mostly as supportive disciplines, which would help him better understand Judaic teachings. He adhered to the rule of the Jewish wise men. One must first study for 40 years, and only then can one teach others. His knowledge and experience was collected and published in books. None of them were authored by the Gaon himself. All the books containing the Gaon's commentary on Jewish religious texts, more than 70 volumes, were published by his sons and students. We also know something about the Gaon's daily life from what his students wrote about him. For example, that the only person allowed into his study was his wife, and only if she were bringing him something to eat. As for his views on child rearing, his letters tell us a bit about that too. For cursing and lying, a child must be beaten without mercy, because it is the father and mother who will be punished for ruining their children. This was what he taught his wife when they were both still young, on his journey from the Promised Land, which he never actually reached. The Vilna Gaon was known for his phenomenal memory. He was able to recite lengthy Talmud passages and analyze them without ever having the actual text in front of him. He was constantly reading, wishing to better memorize the text and attempting to find new meaning in them. Once, his student complained to him, I just can't understand this part. The Gaon replied with a question. Perhaps you think everything will be clear after the 14th reading. After he turned 70, the Gaon was constantly challenged by illness. It is said that whenever he fell ill, the streets of the Jewish quarter would be covered in hay to prevent the sound of carriage wheels from disturbing his rest. He died peacefully. He even recited a farewell prayer, but what happened next was anything but peaceful. The Gaon's remains were moved 3 times, and today he rests in the Jewish cemetery on Suderves Plentas. For observant Jews, the Gaon's name is sacred, and for Vilnius, he remains the city's most famous Jewish son.